Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you have had some very nice discussions here in the 3 breakout rooms. And I hope that you have all found your way back to this stage again. So Diane, I'm turning over to you. So please, I'll give you the word now.
Oh, great, Louise, but you're not going to get away with it too quickly.
Oh, I thought so.
We're now into plenary, and as you say, I welcome everybody back. Hopefully they could jump between the two on this brilliant platform of Hopin. We're going to just hear from you, myself, and Kwabena. I don't know about you, but we've just had a really interactive conversation. So much. I've got lots of scribbles. But Louise, may I ask you to go first, please? Up to 5 minutes.
Yes, yes. I also have a lot of scribbles, and I'm not sure that I have fully put my head together. But I will try to do it as good as I can. In our group, there was a very nice cooperation, a nice interaction, both on screen and also in questions and in the chat. And what we discussed were, we have 5 membership categories in FIG. We have the member associations, academic members, affiliate members, corporate members, and our correspondence members. But what are the benefits of being a member? And the first question we had was, what are the benefits? And then we continued to, how do we make these benefits visible? And also touch a little, how do we keep the benefits relevant in the future? What are the benefits of being a member? Well, we several touched the visibility and especially the networking, to have an international network, to hear from others and to get inspired by others, to learn from each other. This exchange of knowledge is extremely important. It's also a huge information source, and then also the access to the commissions and networks and other groups of FIG, so it can actually contribute. But in order to do this, active people are needed. And that's where we got a little more into it. What is it the different groups are actually asking for? And I'll start with, fortunately, we didn't have any, we didn't have members from affiliate members. And affiliate members are today primarily agencies, cadastral mapping agencies, ministry representatives, and so. But we had academic members represented, and for them, it was absolutely clear that what they are really looking for is this collaboration and also a place to be able to publish internationally. For the corporate members, we didn't have any direct corporate members, but we had a very interesting discussion on what to give to corporate members and how to involve corporate members more and to bring them closer to FIG. It's actually quite uncommon that a federation has corporate members, and not all, both at a national level and also at an international level, and not all are allowed to include corporate members. But I think it's a huge strength of FIG to bring all these different groups together. But we need to involve them more, and we need to really figure out what can we give them and what do they get out of it. And then, of course, we came to the member associations, where the biggest discussion was, and it was a very nice discussion we had on the question, well, why are you a member of FIG? And silence, and then tradition. So it is, a lot of members are really faithful members who have been members for years and years and years. But that should not be a sleeping pillow. I mean, we really need to be sure that these members also will remain members in the future, and also nationally can see the importance of being part of FIG. And one thing we really talked quite much about was the fact that FIG is acting at an international level, meaning that FIG is kind of the interaction between international agencies like the World Bank and United Nations. And FIG is working together with them and then bringing the results from an international level further to a national level or a regional level, and then it's the regions and the nations, the national associations who then should take on and bring this agenda further. So FIG is really dependent on you as national members, because we can't communicate out to all these members. You are the one who can communicate for us at a national level. And well, I was just seeing, it looked as if you were waving at me and saying, stop, 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 stop. I'll stop in a second. And that is the last thing that is important, this engagement and the cooperation between FIG and national members. We had one association who had a workshop nationally to really figure out what are our international activities, how should we use that in the future, what are our strategies internationally. And this is really wonderful for FIG to hear, because if you really know how you want to use this big pool of information and contacts there are internationally, and bring those on to the nations or to your national members, then I think we are getting a big step further. So we are dependent on you. And finally, I would say this is not the last discussion on this. I think this is an ongoing thing, and it's very important, and we will continue working on it. So thank you very much for your contributions. So Diane, over to you.
Thank you very much, Louise. Like you, I've had people with lots of very, very good views, and I hope I do justice in trying to go through some of this. So the breakout session that I was moderating was on about branding, the FIG brand, and it was taking a reality check and exploring with people in the session, what is the brand to them, you know, and what do we do in terms of articulating that brand? So internal as well as external. And it's going to be no great surprise, there's going to be a lot of crossovers with what you were saying in terms of the international, because really we were looking at it from the other side of the lens in terms of what does our logo, what does our brand really stand for? So we kicked off with a comment, a very good comment about, well, our focus, where is our focus? And the example given was, well, the UN has the focus of governance, if you like, that's their brand. And somebody like IAG has the focus, the brand of being a scientist. In their view, our focus was we are the people that actually do what is the governance policy end and the scientist end, and bring it down to something that's operationalized, if you like. So we are the doers, as somebody else said. We implement. But it also brought on a question about, do we trade? Does FIG, therefore its brand, is it known as a trainer? Well, yes and no. And the yes and no is because at the high level, of course, we are disseminating information, we're sharing it, we're developing to a degree. But you mentioned, Louise, as well, actually, it's the member associations, our other members, that really get it down to grassroots in each country. And that got us thinking about, well, okay, if we're that nice, big, high level, does that mean people stop there in looking at our brand? And another comment then came in with about, well, do you know, we've got a really good history, and we should be proud of it, a history that people out there respect FIG. So our brand is associated with the respect of what we are doing and how we do it. So particularly we're providing expertise at the high level, but that it filters down to our member associations. So there was, though, a little bit of, pushback in terms of let's question ourselves. Are we as good at it as we could be? And so it's always nice to be challenged. And of course, we can always do better, but there is a sense of respect out there, and we should be proud of that, but also a sense, don't let us rest on our laurels. So going back to that umbrella reach that FIG is, umbrella to our members, member associations, but also, and again, Louise, you touched on about corporates, we are so lucky to have corporate members that are truly active. So it's not just our member associations, it's also our corporates. But what we do as a global reach is leverage ideas from a country into a big umbrella. It all gets chewed around a little bit more and comes out probably better and wiser. So this word of pulling relationships together was used, cohesion of what we bring to ideas was used, and like-minded professionals have this forum to discuss that. I want to use now a quote from somebody who said, well, our brand is about producing high quality, best practice documents, if you like, in geo matters for betterment of society, given what we do and how we do it. So there is a public perception out there. And that might be a little bit of differentiation that we go to. But does it differentiate enough for people, for society out there? And I certainly know as a member association of RICS, we're always struggling to get the man and woman in the street to understand what a surveyor does. We're such a broad church. So differentiation is important. And we need to think about FIG making sure it keeps that up on the high table. And again, but going back to that point about respect, it probably does in some areas. Perhaps we should need to do a bit more about that. And that comes to the point of implementation then. And again, we do, so therefore others might follow what we do. And let me unpack that a bit in terms of the conversation that was held. And that is, of course, FIG's brand is not to implement at country level. That's the member associations. They do that in their own country context. But what about a regional level? How far do we go? Excuse me. And the context is probably, FIG implements at a regional, maybe continental level. And that's good. And there are sister organizations that are much stronger and better at a regional level, perhaps. But where we come back in terms of our brand, is we cross-pollinate. So ideas from Asia Pacific can come over to Europe. And, they get churned around, as I said earlier, and pop out for global reach. So, if you like, we really are guiding. We really are advocating. We do have that global reach, and we speak to people, and that is speaking to the SDGs. That's a fantastic language that we use, and we actually use very purposefully. So I think I would say that, by and large, and this is my take, I didn't hear this, but by and large, we do have a clear, simple, distinctive, authentic brand. There's a lot to still be done, as always, in branding. You've got to keep up there to keep it relevant and live. But I feel that the key takeaways I heard was our brand is global. It's got global reach, it's got global membership, it's got global diversity in opinions and people. It's a brand that bridges from the policy to the technical. That's what makes people really pleased and want to get involved in a FIG. We are respected. We do not want to lose that respect. We are respected at high level, at country level, probably at people level, but only as we touch individuals. So, the educational piece is important, as all of our commission themes are. And I'll end it there because I know Kwabena has also got her feedback from his session. Over to you, Kwabena.
Yes, thank you very much, Diane. And of course, yes, it was a very, very interesting, thought-provoking discussion on young surveyors transitioning and integrating. And it was quite apparent that we could not talk about this issue in a silo just by itself, because there were so many other aspects that feed into this topic. For example, FIG is not just at a global level, as Diane mentioned, but then also at the regional and the national levels. And so there was also a need to discuss how national and regional associations can also better integrate young surveyors, because if that happens, then there will be more, it will have a resulting effect in young surveyors being involved more in FIG work, and more especially in FIG commission work. So there is also a put into two main categories. First is talking about our mindsets, and then the second is hard recommendations that can be taken. So for the first part with the mindset, it mostly we talked first about how young surveyors can balance work and volunteering, because if that part is not taken care of, then even if no matter the amount of opportunities FIG provides, young surveyors are not going to be able to volunteer within FIG. So this was actually a conversation that centered around employers of young surveyors who are also listening to us right now. So one of the things was that it would be great for employers to recognize the value from the volunteering work that young surveyors are doing, because for some of us who are lucky and privileged to be in aspects of our professional, to be in workplaces where volunteering is actually part of the things you have to do in order as part of your duties. It is easier for us to volunteer in FIG, but if you take other young surveyors who have to take extra time to volunteer, then it becomes a problem for them to become active in FIG work. Then it's also that it is time for seasoned surveyors to recognize the work of young surveyors as expertise and not just as grunt work, being given extra work that they don't want to do to young surveyors to do it in the name of experience. So in this regard, there was a recommendation that we could have at least young surveyors as observers in commissions as a start, so that these observers can work something like the engagement committee that has been suggested by the task force. And I would also actually encourage that the engagement committee also involve young surveyors, so that they can also identify other young surveyors to get to be more active in FIG. Then the next thing is also that young surveyors are also usually not taken quite seriously in their commission work. And so, in the technical, on technical issues. And so in this case also, it is encouraged that commissions actively sort out young surveyors. And there was actually a point about post-working week communications, because a lot of the times it also comes as a result of young surveyors not feeling confident enough to engage with seasoned surveyors who have very big names, and of course, it then you get some sort of shyness in approaching big names, and so it is encouraged that rather than young surveyors seeking out seasoned surveyors actively after the working week. Seasoned surveyors could also reach out to young surveyors who they have spoken to during working weeks or during events like that, in order to get them to get encouraged. And this was not discussed, but then a good example is the way Diane encouraged me over the years to become more active. And so we will very much benefit from seasoned surveyors encouraging us, and not just young surveyors seeking out seasoned surveyors. And so in this situation, having young surveying representatives, especially in the commissions, will also help. But then the last point is going back to national associations and then regional associations also. So in this situation, we're talking about two forms of national associations: those that you have to pass some sort of exam to become a member of, and then others which you have to, others which you can simply join by virtue of being a surveyor. And within this situation also, we talk about how seasoned surveyors in these national associations can better integrate young surveyors. And in this case, there were no hard concrete recommendations on this, because of course every national association is run differently in their own way. But then seasoned surveyors and young surveyors in the discussion alike very much encourage that national member associations should encourage young surveyors to join more in the work of the National Association. And this will give young surveyors more confidence to do more at the FIG level. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Kwabena, because some of those things that you've talked about are so impactful on quite a few of the recommendations. The quick takeaway is confidence. You know, the rest of us see the young surveyors in their network and it's like, wow, they're all really confident. And it is so easy to forget, actually, just to just have a conversation with you and I talk to others too. That makes a big difference. So thank you. So I'm now going to just round up this whole this session with thank you very much for those who participated in the breakout session. It was a learning curve for us all. But the next steps are that the three moderators will compile their notes just quickly. So Kwabena, that's you and me, because Louise have already got them. We'll get them across to Louise, and it will go in with the wealth of information that we've already got from the task force. So once again, 2 years in the making, this task force. Thank you all for all of your inputs, all of your good ideas. They are not going to go to waste. They are going to be used. So it's for now for me to hand back to Rudolph and Louise just to wrap up. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diane. And first of all, I think we need to really thank you very much for these 2 years of work. I mean, it's been impressive how you have managed to include so many people around. And it's been kind of an obstacle, because it's been not meeting in person in discussions like this is not easy, but you've managed to still get people involved. So I will also round up for now, because we will be back in 1 hour with the 4th session, and that really builds up on what we have talked about today. Here we will showcase some of the results, some of the publications, some of the things that have been worked on. But before, I mean, we'd like to give you some homework. So during this 1 hour break, there will be 3 polls. And there will be a new poll that is posted every 20 minutes. Please go in and fill in the poll, and you will get the result later. Thank you very much for now. See you in an hour.
Thank you all. See you.